Mark Kabachek writes in, and you would be best suited to answer this because of your experience in covering these elections. His sense is that the last couple of elections, it seems to be a lot more negativity. Do you sense that, or is it just maybe because the media is everywhere now and there's so many different outlets to get it that we're just being fed it more?
Well, the answer is yes, yes, and yes. It's not just a matter of we sense more negativity. It's a fact. There's been ever-increasing negativity in campaigns, again, because the belief runs deep in politicians of both parties, particularly those at or near the top, that negativity works, negativity sells, fear sells. Then there's also the fact that our media, what I prefer to call the press, but I'm a guy from another era, that our media has become so fragmented. There's so many more channels, so many more outlets for radio, television, and now the internet. That is also a factor. But we have to face the fact, and it is a fact, that our campaigns have become increasingly negative. And a pattern develops. Candidate A says, listen, I'm not going to run a negative campaign. I'm going to be high road all the way. Before you know it, he's running just the opposite. And the excuse usually given, sometimes valid, sometimes not, is, listen, I've tried to do it, and the other guy started hitting me in the head with everything but a window weight, and so I have to respond. And there we go again, and here we go again with this campaign.
We received a number of questions dealing with Senator Obama for you, and I was curious to know your take on this one because I think it speaks to some of the experience you've had in covering the Oval Office in the past. Janice Blackney writes in, do you think that Senator Obama would relinquish any of the executive branch presidential powers which President Bush has assumed while he's in office?
I think it's possible, but I'm in a show me state. Certainly possible. This is one of the things I think he genuinely believes that he can do and certainly wants to do. But in my lifetime, over the last half century plus, we've had a tremendous growth in the power of the American presidency. We all know from our 7th grade civics classes that we're built on the premise that there should be a delegation of powers and a separation of powers, judicial, legislative, and executive, to be check and balance. Well, what's happened over the years, particularly as I say the last half century plus, is the executive branch has increasingly, both Democratic and Republican presidents have assumed more and more power. And one reason they have is Congress not wanting to make the tough calls. Whether the Congress has been a Democratic or Republican majority, they don't make the tough calls. They say, well, we don't make the tough calls, so we'll let the president make that. No question that the power of the presidency has grown immensely, and it's something that our generation and future generations are going to have to think seriously about.
Is that inability of Congress to make the decisions what's led to some of the increasing skepticism in this society?
No doubt about it. And mind you, it's not just the inability. It's the lack of desire. It's one thing to have the inability. It's another to say, you know what, I don't want to handle this. Let's push it off to the big guy.
I'm sure you get questions like this all the time. Steve Pietrofesso writes in, being as well known as you are, do you ever wish you could just be in public and not be noticed?
No. It goes with the territory. And I think it was some comedian once said, a celebrity is somebody who spends the first 25 years of his life trying to get noticed, and the next 25 years complaining because he is noticed. That if you want the honor, and it is an honor, of trying to be an honest broker of information to people night after night on television, you have to take the good with the bad. I never considered public recognition and the public coming up to you as anything bad. Not only did I take it as going just with the territory, but I like to talk to people. Even when people disagree with me, even when people have criticism, I would prefer they not resort to violence or throwing a glass or something on me. But it's just not in me to complain about that.
To the people out there who have seen waning interest in political conventions, it appears that 2008 will be the exception. It seems there's an uptick of interest. The folks, especially here in Colorado, who are watching this, what should they be watching?
Well, I think they should be watching with the following view. Come to the television set, or if you're just listening on the radio, okay, this is what they want me to believe. This is what they say is going on. Now, what's really going on in there? What's going on behind the scenes? What's going on at the parties around the convention where lobbyists, congressmen, regulators, cabinet members get together. What's really going on there? That's a healthy skepticism. And it is, okay, this is the message the party is putting out, but is that message backed up by their record up to now? The Democrats say this is what their party is about, but what has the party been about for the last 25, if not 50 years? Same with the Republicans. Now, there's a lot of talk in the air about change, and I think part of the reality now is to recognize we're going to have a change because President Bush is going out and a new president is coming in. It's what kind of change are we going to have, and who can best lead that change? That's what the American voter is now making up their minds about. But in terms of watching the convention, I think part of it is just slip off your slippers, lay back in the chair, and enjoy the show. It is a show. Recognize it's an entertainment show, primarily for entertainment. Some information, particularly when the vice presidential nominee makes his acceptance speech and the presidential nominee makes his. Quite honestly, I think you can watch Wednesday night and Thursday night at each convention where you get the vice president nominee and the presidential nominee making their speeches, and then don't pay much attention to after Labor Day, because the real campaign starts just after Labor Day. Payday for the politicians, the big money and the power is on the table as soon as Labor Day ends and the campaign starts for real. And then within that, watch the last 4 or 5 days. The last 4 or 5 days usually decide the election. It'll be close up and down. But the late deciders come into play. When Ronald Reagan beat an incumbent Jimmy Carter in 1980, they were dead even on Friday. By Sunday night, it was all over. The late deciders had made their decision. So watch Wednesday night, Thursday night, pay attention right after Labor Day for some weeks, and then watch the last 4 or 5 days, and you're going to know what you need to know.
Dan Rather, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.